Hey, Stewie, 3 o'clock. Time for The View. No, not again!
When you conceived The View, you said, I wanted to do a show with women with different views. Any regrets?
Well, at the time, little did I know that I would be surrounded by 4 cackling hens all speaking over each other where I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
I did not say that.
Can you let me finish?
Well, can you let me talk?
Well, can you let me finish?
Well, can you let me talk? Because it's actually your job to listen to me.
Hey, you know, the only thing I practice in front of a mirror is sucking in my back fat. So what? Who cares?
Hello everyone, if you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth time watching one of my videos and you're not yet subscribed, we already go together. Okay, make it official and hit that subscribe button. Today we have to talk about The View. This show originally started in 1997 and somehow is still on air, and it has become the show that everyone loves to hate. Its current IMDb rating is a well-deserved 2.5 out of 10. Its Rotten Tomato score is 12%, and most of their viral videos have a very high dislike to like ratio. Bruh. According to the US TV database, an average of 2.3 million viewers watch the show every week, and I used to be one of those viewers. Don't judge me, okay? I'm not proud of myself, but yes, I was a regular viewer of the show, The View, from 2015 to 2020. I was watching the show when Kelly Osbourne made the insensitive comment about Mexicans.
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump? Oh, that's...
I was watching the show when Whoopi Cushion farted in front of Ashanti.
I will not get the shot. I feel like, why do I want to inject something into my skin that's gonna make...
Excuse me?
Yeah, whoa.
And this person.
I was gonna say... Yeah, you know?
And all of the other times Whoopi Cushion farted.
Enough about his wife to pay that was gas. I don't know the specifics, but just...
I am proud to say that after 5 years of being a regular viewer of this show, I have since been rehabilitated and I have not relapsed except when I watch viral clips, okay? You know, moderation is key. I stopped watching the show in 2020 during lockdowns because that was when I realized that the show wasn't what I thought it was. First of all, these women don't articulate sincerely held beliefs, and I have more to say on that later, but right now I need to call out Sarah Haynes. Sarah Haynes is the only cast member that doesn't get on my nerves, but I have to call her out for being a liar and a hypocrite. The US election happened recently, as we all know, and prior to the election, Sarah Haynes made it very clear that she supported Kamala Harris.
I voted for Vice President Kamala Harris because more of my values fell in line with what she stood for.
But recently on an episode, Miss Haynes had a Freudian slip, and some people caught it. During a segment where they were talking about Donald Trump's cabinet picks, like Linda McMahon, who was selected to be the head of the Department of Education, you know, they were discussing all of their cabinet picks and they were discussing their concerns about his picks, and Sarah Haynes said something by accident. Take a look.
But I do disagree on her policy because I'm someone that's really big on the robust public schools, and it's just a policy debate. But I recognize that due to my vote, this is one of the consequences I'm going to get. But I don't think he's going to tear down the Department of Education.
Did you catch that? She said, due to my vote, these are the consequences that I am going to get.
Due to my vote, this is one of the consequences I'm going to get.
So she basically admitted that she voted for Trump. She sat there for 100 days pushing Kamala Harris onto viewers, but then went and voted the other way and lied about it. This isn't a group of women with different views sitting together debating culture and politics. It is a show meant to push propaganda to the masses. And unfortunately for me, I didn't notice it until 2020 after I had already wasted 5 years of my life. I would like to see how I can get a refund, okay, on those 5 years. I remember during the pandemic, they would say things like people who didn't take the shot, they shouldn't be allowed to have access to healthcare. They should be excommunicated. They should be shamed. They're selfish. They're evil. They're the worst. Just very divisive messaging with no regard for the very valid concerns people had about this new experimental gene therapy. And yes, it is a gene therapy. If you go right now on your computer, your cell phone, your tablet, and you go to the National Library of Medicine, which is an official US government website, and you search for this medical journal, which I'm showing you on the screen right now, mRNA, vaccine or gene therapy, the safety regulatory issues in the article, and very clearly states the mode of action of COVID-19 mRNA vaccines should classify them as gene therapy products. But they have been excluded by regulatory agencies. Some of the tests they have undergone as vaccines have produced non-compliant results in terms of purity, quality, and batch homogeneity. The wide and persistent biodistribution of mRNAs and their protein products, incompletely studied due to their classification as vaccines, raises safety issues. And none of this information is new. Okay, this information was available back in 2020. I know this because back then I read about it being a gene therapy from the Pfizer website. But The View never brought anyone on to have a nuanced discussion on the safety of this shot, despite talking about it damn near every day during lockdowns. Instead, they vilified people who had legitimate reasons to be concerned. And they would say, if you do take it, you'll be safe from being infected. You can't spread it. They pushed that narrative on a regular basis during the pandemic. These self-righteous women bragged about how they got the shot and were therefore safe and couldn't infect anyone else. And then this happened.
Two of you to step off for a second.
Okay.
Anna and
we're going to bring you
Sonny
back later.
have to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll tell you why.
More information later. It's a tease.
We'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. So shall I introduce the vice president?
Yes.
Okay. So, vice president, no.
Nope.
Okay. Shall we dance? Let's do a tap dance.
Let's do that.
Since this is going to be a major news story any minute now,
Yeah.
what happened is that Sonny and Anna both apparently tested positive for COVID.
So instead of bringing Kamala Harris out, they did the interview by Zoom from backstage. The vaccinated protecting the vaccinated from the vaccinated. Clown world. Then, the following Monday, the show came on and claimed it was all a mistake. Anna and Sonny weren't positive at all.
That Sonny and Anna's Friday results turned out to be false positives and everyone is safe.
It was really uncomfortable for my results to be released publicly.
What happened was in complete contradiction to the propaganda that they had been pushing, and no one acknowledged it. Sonny, for example, was upset that her test results were made public. She felt it violated her privacy, but she was the same person who advocated for vaccine passports to enter a building. That was a huge violation of all of our privacy. On the show, they advocated for the use of rapid tests, but didn't even acknowledge that they're faulty, right? They had their own, false positives. They never sat down and had a conversation about whether that was even an effective public policy measure. And side note, I personally have had nurses and licensed medical professionals tell me that those rapid tests are trash. They're highly unreliable. But would The View ever have that type of conversation, especially at a time where it is very important? No. The one time they had Jedediah Bila on there, they chastised her for not taking the shot, and they accused her of spreading misinformation.
So let's discuss. Yeah. Let's address the elephant in the room because you were supposed to join. You were supposed to join us in the studios weeks ago, but you couldn't because ABC has a very strict policy. You can't get into this building unless you're fully vaccinated. Everybody in this room knows that and is vaccinated. But you made a conscious decision not to get the vaccine.
I have a medical exemption to the vaccine that's been written by my infectious disease vaccinated specialist in New York City that's been co-signed by 3 other doctors. I'm not a candidate for this vaccine. I also have sky-high, multi-tiered, multifaceted natural immunity, very, very high, that has also been proven, it has been shown, and it is substantiated by letters from these doctors. So for me, personally, this vaccine poses a greater risk than a benefit. I'm also not a risk to any of you. I know there's been a lot of debate about that, but I have these doctors who've gone on record with that as well. So my point about all of this is that I am not anti-vax. What I really want is for people to make these decisions for themselves. I want every one of you to sit with your family members, to sit with your trusted doctors, and to say, what is the best decision for me? However, I do oppose mandates. I oppose them on the fact that let's look at the science. This is a vaccine that was created to prevent severity of disease and to prevent hospitalizations. Now, we can have a whole debate on that in itself, but the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID and does not prevent you from transmitting COVID.
Oh, my goodness.
reality, and we have seen that.
That's not so. Come on.
No,
You've been at Fox TV too long.
You don't have to listen to me on that. You don't have to listen to me. You can listen to the director of the CDC. You can look at the CDC's website. That is why masks were reinstated for people who were vaccinated, because they said, and they admitted, they came out and said, this Delta variant, transmission is going to be a thing for vaccinated and unvaccinated people. So I'm not opposed to the vaccine, but I am opposed to the mandate 100% on the grounds of science.
people have died from COVID, including Manny's in-laws. And we've been friends a long time, but Manny's parents, I just don't understand why you would choose to prioritize your personal freedom over health and safety of others. And I just really don't think that we should allow this kind of misinformation on our website.
Keep in mind, this interview happened about 2 months after the incident where Anna and Sunny were accused of being infected despite being vaccinated.
But the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID and does not prevent you from transmitting COVID.
Oh, my goodness.
Reality, and we have seen that.
That's not so. Come on.
No,
You've been at Fox TV too long. Sunny and Anna both apparently tested positive for COVID.
So how was she spreading misinformation? You had the shot and you still so-called got infected and you didn't even question it. You weren't upset that, oh my gosh, I took the shot and I still got sick. No, that's not why you were mad. You're mad because you had a false positive. These women all lack critical thinking skills. It reminds me of when Sunny blamed the solar eclipse on global warming.
We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists.
Sunny is the most criticized cast member, and she deserves it. When I was a regular viewer of the show, she was actually my favorite person. But the longer she has been on the show, the more insufferable she has become. Especially when she does that thing, like she's trying to intimidate the guests with the stupid chin rub. It just looks ridiculous. Like, what is this? What is this? Anyways, the more that I watched the show, the more I realized how much of a hypocrite she is. For example, Sunny has said many times that she is a devout Catholic, and she has said that she is pro-life because of her faith.
Famously pro-life and a big supporter. You also are a pro-life person.
And you and I've discussed this. I mean, I'm Catholic, I'm pro-life.
Despite being pro-life herself, she has criticized white women who have voted Republican because they are pro-life.
To me, is the abortion issue. I read a poll just yesterday that white Republican suburban women are now going to vote Republican.
Why?
It's almost like roaches voting for Raid, right?
I think they're voting. No, it's insulting to the voter.
They're voting against their own self-interest. Do they want to live in Gilead?
This comparison obviously upset a lot of viewers who felt that Sunny's comments were racist. And Sunny's rebuttal is that she's not racist because her mother is white.
Anything,
Let
no
me
one
respond,
can hear what's being
she
said.
just said I called white women roaches.
Go ahead
which
and
my mother's a
respond.
white woman, so
Go
I
ahead
wouldn't
and
say
respond.
that.
Recently, Sunny has once again offended viewers when she blamed uneducated white women for being responsible for Trump's re-election.
I want to dig further into the demographics because black women tried to save this country. Again, last night, 92% of black women voted for the vice president. You have Latinas in the 70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms?
First of all, people have the right to vote whichever way they see fit. So blaming a voter for their vote is ridiculous. You should try to understand why people voted a certain way rather than blaming them for your preferred candidate's loss. Second of all, I understand that exit polls are broken down into demographics like education level, household income, race, gender, and all of that. But Sunny Hostile's framing is deliberately divisive. The poll says, quote, white women, non-college graduates. But Sunny Hostile chose to rephrase it as uneducated white women, and she did that on purpose. Notice how she said, Black men voted this way. Latino men voted that way. Uneducated white women voted this way against their own best interest, insinuating the reason they voted for Trump is because they are uneducated and therefore are unable to think critically. But Sunny, my dear, isn't your mother an uneducated white woman? Sunny Hostile has said that her mother is a white woman from Puerto Rico. And Sunny Hostile has also said that she is the first woman in her family to get a college degree. So I can safely deduce that her mother is therefore an uneducated white woman. So she shouldn't have so much contempt for that category of mortal because her mother is one. And I'm going to be messy right now, okay? But I just have to say this. The way that Sunny Hostile goes after white women specifically all the time makes me wonder if her husband had an affair with one and now she's bitter. Anyways, I'm done being messy. Another time Sunny Hostile showed her hypocrisy was in a conversation about Nikki Haley. Now Nikki Haley, who I'm not a fan of, but her full name on her birth certificate is Nimarata Nikki Randawa. I think I pronounced her last name properly, but if I didn't, whatever. Nikki is actually a traditional Indian name, and her last name has been Haley since 1996 when she got married. So that's why she goes by Nikki Haley. She goes by her middle name, Nikki, and her married name, Haley. However, Sunny Hostin criticized her for calling herself Nikki instead of Nimarata and said that she did it because she wants to hide her Indian heritage.
Nikki Haley was incredibly effective governor of South Carolina.
There are some of us that can be chameleons and decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sunny, I don't think that's fair. You go by a different name.
Just so we're clear, Sunny's name isn't Sunny. It's Asuncion. She Americanized her name to Sunny, which has likely benefited her in her career. Also, Whoopi Goldberg's name also isn't Whoopi Goldberg, it's Whoopi Cushion. I'm joking. Obviously, it's not Whoopi Cushion, it's Karen Elaine Johnson, but she changed her name to Whoopi Goldberg for her Hollywood career. So for Sunny to call out Nikki Haley was complete hypocrisy because both her and one of her co-hosts, Whoopi, don't go by their real names. Another criticism that I have of the show and that many people have of the show is that it markets itself as a place for diverse opinions, and it isn't. Sunny Hostile has the loudest voice at the table, and so if she agrees with what someone has to say, she will let them speak. But if she disagrees with them, she does one of two things. She either continuously interrupts them, preventing them from finishing their argument, or if she doesn't interrupt them, she gives them this death stare. She gives them the death stare, and she does this. And Sunny Hostile loves to single out all of the conservative guests that they have on the show. Take for instance when Lindsey Granger was a guest host on the show, and she was essentially auditioning to be the new permanent conservative co-host. During the episode, Sunny talked down on her being a black woman and being a Republican.
But I do say that I have many conservative values that I will talk to you about. And so if you look at your network that you're standing behind, yes, and when you look at your network that you're standing behind, you're saying that you look at Chris Cuomo.
I feel like that's an oxymoron, a black Republican.
There's also the time that Coleman Hughes went on the show to promote his book about achieving a colorblind society. And for the record, he's not a Republican, but because they disagreed with what he had to say, they were very hostile towards him.
Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased, so we should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not for that. My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything. Right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time. I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star, and the point is not that we're ever going to get there, we're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards, and we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten. And my overall argument is that class, socioeconomics, is a better proxy for disadvantage. We all want to help the disadvantaged, and the question is, how do we identify them, right? The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use, black and Hispanic identity as a proxy for disadvantage, and my argument is that you actually get a better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income that picks out people in a more accurate way.
Your argument for color blindness, I think, is something that the right has co-opted. And so many in the black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
Sunny often poses her ad hominem attacks as a question so she can say, well, that's what your critics are saying. No, Sunny. That's what you're saying. Say it with your chest. You know, don't cast stones and hide your hands. Say what you gotta say. Say it with your chest. Another criticism that I have of the show is that they just lack self-awareness. They recently had a segment on the show discussing why so many people voted for Trump in the 2024 election, and a huge reason is because people are not happy with the economy and they are struggling financially. Now, Whoopi then says that she is also a working person who is struggling, insinuating that that wasn't a good enough reason to vote for Trump.
I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too.
Yeah.
I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here. Okay? So I'm a working person, you know? And my kid has to feed her family. You know, and my great-granddaughter has to be fed by her family. I know it's hard out there, but I also know that there are a lot of things that we just said, no, I'm just going to go this way.
Right.
The fact that she is equating her so-called struggle to the struggle of working-class people is nuts. According to Parade.com, she is worth around $60 million, and her last reported annual salary is between $5 million and $6 million per year. That's the struggle life. The lack of self-awareness is truly astonishing. And another time that they showed a lack of self-awareness is when they called men useless.
Do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless.
Men are not useless. The View is useless. The View sows division, they spread propaganda and lies, and quite frankly, the mainstream media is full of leftist shows who all read from the same script, so if The View went off the air, it really would make no difference. Your show is literally useless. Anyways, I think I've gone on long enough. There's a lot more that I can say, but I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, all right? Let me know your thoughts about this show in the comment section down below. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit the like button. This video might need it because I talked about some things in this video, some jabby jabs, and so I don't know what's gonna happen in the algorithm. So if you liked it, please hit the like button and leave a comment so that my video doesn't suffer because I talked about that thing. Yeah, if you would like to support me, one way that you can support me is on Patreon. My link to Patreon will be in the description box down below, as well as the links to my social media. So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm just starting to use Twitter if you guys want to follow me there. If you liked this video and you would like to see more like it, I will have 2 more videos for you in the end cards. A special thanks to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.